Hi, I have a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. So, two items to share, and then two suggestions based on what it is that I'm seeing this week as themes. And hopefully, this is really helpful because there's so much for us to navigate right now, individually and collectively. So, the first thing that I'm really noticing is that people are pushing themselves too much to get out there after a long time of being held in from COVID. And there's things opening, and there's been a lot of pent up, to-do lists and also people to connect with. And what I'm watching is people kind of short circuiting themselves and trying to do too much. So I would say let's take this as a transition. The government and the local and federal governments are doing and saying whatever they're doing, but we have our own internal barometer and compass of what we need to be doing for ourselves. So to attend to ourselves at that level, and not to put any artificial pressure on ourselves. It's always better when we really are just tuned in and moving from what is our truth instead of doing what everyone else is doing. So that's the first one. And I think within that also make sure that you land at the right amount of busyness, because maybe there was a bunch of stuff that you used to do that you absolutely should not do ever again because it was a giant waste of time, or it's just no longer that much of a priority to you. So have a look and make sure that we really shift at that level. The other thing that I'm noticing is that it's a really brilliant time right now for introspection. It's so important that we spend this next couple of weeks or so really deeply diving inside of ourselves and looking at our life. How do we want to set it up? Are we on the right path? Are we wanting to shift our career focus or the way that we use our time in general? What are the things that are going on? And you might notice some things coming up for you. There's a lot of that going on right now. So I just wanted to speak to that. What is it you need to be squarely on your path? And pay attention to that, and start to make some shifts, or plan to make some shifts, or at least just really commit to making those shifts. Depending on what kind of things they are, they may not be something you can change right this second, but just taking the time for that clarity and going slow enough to have the introspection. If we don't have enough time for introspection, it often leads to pain. And so people don't know that. They think that they need to get more things done and be productive in an outwardly world way in order to get comfortable. And that's actually a short circuit, and it's a little bit of an addiction, because we don't need more. We need oftentimes just to relax and drop into ourselves. And then we notice we actually don't need to get as much done. We just needed to acknowledge that this is no longer a priority, that that is a priority, or that we're feeling sad, upset, frustrated, overwhelmed, whatever it is. And then that feeling of alleviation comes, but it doesn't come from doing more. That's the cycle that we need to just definitely be able to break and step off of. Is the cycle of the addiction of doing more makes us get further ahead, because sometimes it really doesn't. We can waste a crap ton of time like a little hamster on a wheel doing the wrong stuff, and that doesn't save us any time, and it doesn't get us any real relief. So the two things to really that I've been saying, the first one is that you've already heard, is slow down and process it all, and really allow yourself and give yourself that time. There's going to be a lot of things that are coming up. There have been a lot of things for a lot of people that have been coming up that feel like blocks in the ability to get things to happen. And when that's happening, just dive in inside of you and notice and let go, and try not to control don't try to control the external circumstances, but rather be in command of your own internal environment. That'll make a huge difference for you. The other thing that I want to make a mention of is that this is an incredible time while you're doing that introspection and while you're easing through these transitions. If you haven't really taken the time to educate yourself about what's going on, like for instance, what is white privilege, rather than what I see is there's a lot of people that are really upset, and there's a lot of people that have their head in the sand or are kind of yelling back at them. And what I know about conflict resolution is when we have two camps, we always have a battle. And if we want the battle to be done, we all have to do our part, whatever that means. So I think that one of the most important things that we can do is just listen and educate ourselves. So if you haven't had the chance to understand white privilege, I want to deeply encourage you to just, if you could spend 3 minutes on this nationwide, this other epidemic basically that we're dealing with nationally, which is racism. And it's not new. It's just, it's time for things to get cleared up. And if you don't understand what white privilege is, or if it pisses you off that people, if you happen to be of white denomination, then, and you don't understand why people are upset, it's super important to actually educate yourself, because the fact that you don't understand is actually uh, it's ignorance, essentially. So there's a quiz that I'm including in this email, and I would really encourage for you to spend 3 minutes to just take it and reflect on what it would be like If you were born of a different skin color and just navigating through the world, and it doesn't make anyone of any of these colors of skin right or wrong or whatever. It's just that we have to make change. Let's not get stuck in the finger pointing, and let's stay in the focus on change and compassion and understanding and building bridges. I've been brought in for some really intense conflict resolution. Sometimes in the old days, it used to be between a married, couple, and then it could also be between extremely powerful, extremely large personalities, and that are maybe on a senior team, an executive team together. And I know the way to help with conflict resolution is to stop trying to pretend that there are sides and to deeply listen. So regardless of where you may feel like you fall in this, I encourage you to continue to educate yourself and continue to make progress internally, so that when we know we've been resolved in this is when we feel like there are no more sides to it. And that might be a bit aspirational, but I have done this again and again with individuals. So that's the model and that's the standard that I like to hold for this as well. And we have a really, really long way to go. Yeah. So there's a little link and you can click it and take 3 minutes and connect with people and hear real stories and ask them and care about what it is that's gone on for other people, regardless of the color of your skin and regardless of what you may think you know. There's so much more to know. And yeah, I think that's it for now. So slowing down, taking time to process. There's so much going on, not pushing, noticing how you want to spend your time, and being sure to educate yourself, because there's so much to know. There always is. And right now is an incredible time of learning, and we can create massive change that really is, in many cases, feeling long overdue if we all participate with our full heart and mind aligned.